What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Good news. We've been talking about guys from the IR coming back. Coach was being a little cryptic, like, hey, we'll see. I'll let you guys know. Well, we got some no. Austin Jackson, our starting right tackle, who's been out since week 2, has been activated from the IR. So when you're activated from the IR, it doesn't mean typically you come back and just play. You have a 21-day window to ramp up to play. So basically, if you don't ramp up and play within that 21-day window, you're done. So typically, teams don't activate you from the IR unless they think you can play. Joe Burrow got activated, I believe, a few days ago, and he's trying to play around Thanksgiving. Austin Jackson returned to practice today. Now, obviously, not a full participant, but within the next 3 weeks, he's going to test it out, really put himself through the rigors. We're going to do what we can. And ideally, sometime between now and I guess the first week of December, he will be activated to play. This is awesome. Our right tackle situation has not been great, and he's been out literally since week 2. He's supposed to come back like week 6 or 7, and we gave him more time to recover because evidently hadn't healed yet. This would be a nice boost. Again, it depends on how the season wants to finish up. If we win the next couple games, and there's that 3 to 5% chance you can make the playoffs. Y'all see it every year where it's like you need to win out, and you need these 4 teams to lose like 2 of the last 3. And sometimes it seems like, all right, it's not going to happen, but it does happen sometimes because one, a lot of teams play divisional match. I think every team plays a divisional game the last game of the season. So, those are usually hard fought games. You can never know what's going to happen, i.e., us beating Buffalo. But also, late in the year, injuries happen. Teams are battered and bruised, and things can happen. So if we're winning up to this point, I know some people are like, who cares? Austin's coming back. It could be a real point. If we make this crazy generational type run and somehow make a playoff push, we're going to need some protection on the offensive line. We're going to need some run blocking on that side, some security on the right side. So if Austin can come back and shore up that side of the line, that would be fantastic. Also, we just need to see how healthy he's going to be potentially going forward. I haven't looked at the intricacies of his contract. So I think he's on a contract like where we owe him money for the next couple of years. But let's say he comes back and gets hurt again. Now we're going to next year being like, hey, Austin's kind of on the injury prone side. Do we need to draft a new right tackle? Because we can't depend on him to just come back and be healthy. We thought that this year. And if he's out most of this year and, we're already paying him a lot of money, can we get out of the money, get a new right tackle, start over? Who knows? So I think there's more implications than just is he going to come back and play this year. It's more like, is he part of our future plan? It seems like Patrick Paul, like Brewer, they're part of the future plans. I mean, Jonah's under contract, but who knows? Like, is he part of the plan? We don't know. Is Austin part of the plan? We paid him. We believe him to be. But I'm looking forward to seeing him get back on the field. Hopefully he does that sooner than later. I seriously doubt it'll be Sunday, but possibly next week. Hopefully, at least a week after that. So we'll see. Now, recently, I've been out here giving a lot of credit because the team has been playing better, at least in the last week or so. And one unit that's been playing really well is a defensive unit. Early in the year, we saw just abysmal run defense. I mean, literally the worst in the league. Passing just all over the place. We couldn't get to the quarterback. Just a complete, Debbie Downer. That's why some of the early episodes, I was kind of sad. But recently, last 4 or 5 weeks, the defense has been good. In fact, they've been significantly better than they were before, and has been trending toward the top 10 in some key stats. We typically don't get into numbers on this channel, but we're going to do that today. Actually, we have a second stat later on, but that's a little bit of foreshadowing. Let's look at how the team has actually performed between games 1 and 5, and then 6 and 10. 1 and 5 is on the left side, 6 and 10 on the right side. So points per game in the first 5 games of the year, we were giving up 29 points per game. Absurd. That is absolutely ridiculous. Last 4 games, 22.2. A touchdown difference. Crazy. Yards per game, 386 to 307. That's big drop off. Yards per play, it's 1 yard, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but that makes a big difference to the next stat, which is third down conversion rate. When teams have third and short, generally they are great at converting them, right? 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, teams are really good. Your whole playbook is open. You can run, you can pass, you can even say, hey, this is 4 down territory. We may just run it for 2 yards and run and go for it on 4th down. Who knows? But teams were converting at 50% third down conversion. You know what that meant? Defense never getting off the field. That meant we're on the field forever. They're getting tired. Teams are wearing us down. Long drives, i.e. the Colts game where they literally didn't punt. Now, 33.8. That's giant drop off. And you saw it Sunday. How many 3 and outs, how many bad third downs did the Buffalo Bills have? And now EPA, which is expecting points against game ranking, again, 30th initially because we were giving up 29 points a game. Now we're 12th. Big, big, big jump. Shout out to coach. He's been doing his thing. I just like to give a little bit of credit, man. Like we've been talking about everybody getting fired, fire sale, GMs, upper executives. What's up with Tua? But the defense is really locked in, and they were flying around on Sunday. They've been much better against the run. I think the Rico Dowdle game was the last game where we really got killed. But also, Rico's turned out to be a really good back and might even be a Pro Bowler this year. Rico's been balling. So I feel less bad about that. I already gave my apology on X. I was like, hey, Rico, my bad. I didn't know you was one of them ones. So shout out to Coach. He's really been doing his job. Let's keep it going. We're also expecting Chop Robinson to be back on Sunday. Chop has had a concussion, and he's been cleared, but I think there's multiple clears that need to happen. But he's cleared the biggest hurdle, so I think the day before the game, they just try to see if there's any lingering effects, if it's a flare-up, it's that kind of thing. We're expecting him to play. Y'all know I've been very critical of Chop because I went into this year thinking he could be pushing toward the top 15 DN type guy this year. And then next year, keep pushing towards top 10. And then when he goes into his contract year, we have to pay him like we're paying top defensive ends. He should be maybe not on the Aiden Hutchinson type path, who's now the highest paid DN outside of Myles Garrett. Or I guess Michael Parsons too. But recently, Hutchinson has been the highest paid of the younger group of guys. Chop Robinson is a first round pick. He's not, he's not some 5th round, where this guy come from? Oh, he emerged. No, we drafted him to be great. We drafted him to take Chubb or Jalen Phillips' spot. Now let's say Jalen Phillips. And the first half of last year, he had 0 sacks. It seemed like the game was too fast for him. It seemed like he was a little undersized. Second half of the year, he got 6 sacks. So it seems like it turned on. So I thought he would pick up from last year. Second half of the year, he got good. He made the all-defensive rookie team. The sky's the limit. And then this year started, and I was like, who's that guy? Where's the Chop that I know? Where's the guy that I expected to be bigger, stronger, faster, who now gets to play with Jalen and Bradley, at least up until a couple weeks ago? He should be getting better one-on-one matchups. He gets to learn next to these guys who've been Pro Bowlers, who have made money, who can teach him individual techniques, because last year they both were out. And then I didn't see it. He wasn't getting the snaps he wanted to get. He wasn't being impactful when he did get the snaps, so I was very critical of him. I'm wondering, is he going to be on a similar trajectory that he was last year to this year, where the first half of the year, it's like his filling out period. Trying to figure out what I'm doing on the line, trying some new stuff out at practice in the offseason. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And then the second half of the year, he turns it on. Right? Now his body should be pretty recovered. Right? He would have been off football for 2 weeks in terms of being hit. Yes, you had a concussion, so head stuff, right? But your body should feel pretty good. You basically had a bye week after a bye week. I was expecting Chop to come in. I'm expecting Chop going forward to come in and be a lot better than he was. Now with Jalen out, is him and Chubb and then Judon being mixed in there. I'm expecting Chop to emerge. Can he duplicate last year? 6 sacks over the last 7-8 games. That would be great to see. I would love to see him step up again, because at some point he will have to be our DN1, or we made a mistake in the draft. And we got to draft that position again, and now Chop is a guy that's going to play out his rookie deal, and then we start the clock all over again trying to find that position. If you do not have someone that can get the quarterback, you are dead to rights. I was watching inexplicably the Jaguar-Houston game. I was watching a lot of football Sunday. And I watched the last 3 plays of the game. It was Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, I think the second now, just going. Like Trevor Lawrence is like, all I gotta do is get in field goal range. And those two defensive ends said, we're not letting you get a first down. One play, Daniil Hunter had three guys blocking him. And he still got pressure. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like it just made like it warmed my heart as a defensive watcher. Like they closed the game. They had a backup quarterback. Derek Stingley was in and out of the lineup. They just said, don't worry about it. Not only are they not getting a first down, they're not getting a first down. We bent the corner, forced a pick six, actually, is how that game ended. But that's what it is. The reason Green Bay gave up everything to get Micah Parsons because they know at some point you got to close the show. If I'm playing Matt Stafford, if I'm playing Sam Darnold, if I'm playing whoever the Vikings quarterback is going to be at that time, you got to close the show. And I think Chop has the potential to be that guy, but he's got to live up to it. And he's got the rest of this year and basically next year. Because if he goes to next year, let's just fast forward. Let's say Chop finishes this year 4 sacks. The pressure is on for next year. Because at next year, that's when we start talking about, hey, player options. Are we going to extend you? Are you, do we get you off the books? We start asking those questions. And I want him to be good. I want him to be on the team. I thought he had high potential. He's a little like undersized, but we've had undersized defensive ends be really great. Some have made the Hall of Fame. It's okay. He's got to lock in, though. And I don't know if it's, just an injury thing. I don't know if it's a technique thing. I don't know if he needs more size. I don't know what it is. But I'm rooting for Chop. Yes, I've been critical of him because I expect a lot of him. I'm critical of Tua because I expect a lot of Tua. I love Jalen Waddle because I think he's a wide receiver 1, and we had him at 2 for multiple years. And now that he's in 1, I'm expecting 90 to 100 yards a game and a tutty. That's what I'm expecting. He goes out there, gives me 4 catches, 40 yards, unacceptable. You're wide receiver 1. I expect more. Chop is a first-round pick on a team that doesn't have great pass rushers consistently. I expect him to be better. So I'm going to treat him as such. And when he performs, we'll give him love. That's how that works. This is a potential heartwarming story. So what happens in the league is that sometimes guys they get drafted by a team, they ball out for that team, and then they go somewhere else. And then when they retire, they have to kind of decide who you're going to retire as, right? So, Peyton Manning, I think, retired as a Bronco, even though he played like with the Colts for the majority of his career because he got his last Super Bowl. He won, I think, 2 MVPs over there. It just works out like that. Rob Gronkowski just retired as a Patriot, which makes sense. But remember, he finished his career with Tampa and Tom Brady getting another ring. And it was a thing of, I thought Gronk was already retired, actually. I was shocked. I was like, wait, is this a thing? So basically, I retire for a day, sign with a team, they do a ceremonial, retirement, and then at some point, probably put your name up in the rafters. I wanted to make the case for Cameron Wake, who is officially not retired, even though he's 43 years old. I don't know what, maybe he just didn't file the paperwork. It's a thing. I don't know what he was trying to do. But as of now, he hasn't been properly honored by the team. And I don't think they won't do that. But he did finish his career with the Titans. I don't know if that was just a friction point where he wanted to finish as a Dolphin and him and upper management couldn't figure it out. I don't know the logistics about it went down. But his time with the Dolphins was awesome. One of my favorite players to watch. Fan favorite for sure. Just ooze passion. Super productive. We're going to jump into some of his career stats when he played with the Dolphins because they're really good. So he had 146 career games. He had 98 quarterback sacks. I'm devastated by the fact that he couldn't get to 100. That's just a benchmark for a lot of guys who are sack artists. He had, in addition to the 98 quarterback sacks, 213 quarterback hits. So he was constantly in the backfield hitting people. 97 tackles for loss, 5-time Pro Bowl selection, first team All-Pro in 2012. Really, really productive guy while he was here. And it's not just about being productive because you can put a guy in the Hall of Fame or retire the number and that kind of stuff just because of vibes. Hey, we just really like this guy. You thought we were really good for the community. You're just a fan favorite type dude. But Cameron Wake was actually an awesome player. He wasn't just, we like this guy. He's 5-time Pro Bowl is a good. That's not Hall of Fame, but that's the Hall of Good. Kind of like Teron Armstead, I think, is a 5-time Pro Bowler. And Teron Armstead was very good. Not going to get into the Hall, but has some really awesome years. Cameron Wake, to me, is kind of the same thing. I don't know how this process gets initiated. Like, I don't know if like the fans ask for it and then the team does it. I don't know if Cameron has to do it. I don't know if the team reaches out to him and says, hey, we want to bring you in before like maybe like the second to last game of the season at home. Come down to the field, wave to the crowd. We all get to show a little montage video. You do your big flex thing. Like, I would love to see it because in a year where we're likely to not make the playoffs and there's some there's some discord between the team and the fan base. This is one of those moments that brings people back because one, you want to get people to show up for a game, tell them that's what we're doing. Yo, man, we about to honor Cameron Wake. You gonna, put his name here, or we're gonna just like retire him officially, come out, say goodbye. Like, that will get people to show up for the last game because it's likely that won't be a playoff type game. And also, he deserves it. You see the stats. Like, that's a really good career. I would love to see it. He was always one of my favorite players to watch. And so I'm putting it out there. I don't know if I have the power to do anything, but let's get a petition started. Let's talk to Stephen Ross and see if we can make it happen. Cam Wake, you deserve to be officially retired as a Dolphin. But as always, that would do it for this episode of Dolphins Daily. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.